There are a lot of metrics out there people just start throwing around. They say, hey, have you looked at this MER, ROAS, ROI, other three-letter acronyms? And I'm going to break down exactly why we think that aMER and MER are two great leading metrics for is your marketing working? Hi, my name is JJ Reynolds, founder at Vision Labs, where we help companies get their data in order so you can take actions faster than ever before. So I'm going to share my screen running through a dashboard of saying, hey, here's some metrics. Let's define them. Let's say, how do you use them? What the symptoms look like if you have something broken and what you should be doing to improve those metrics. So here we have total customers, new customers, returning customers. Very helpful to know. You can change this by your time period. So we're looking at just 1 month here, but you could look at a day, a week, a year, depending on the life cycle. More on that in a second. So this new customer and new customer revenue is really, really important because most of the time you want to say, hey, let's look at your total revenue, break that down into new customer revenue and recurring revenue or existing customer revenue. Not necessarily recurring as in on billables, but you now have this broken up into, say, total revenue. There's a big chunk, little chunk is new customer revenue. And then the other chunk is existing customer revenue. And then under existing customer revenue, you're going to have recurring revenue. That's subscriptions and things like that. Okay, so now we have that more or less sorted. I want to show you two more metrics that are really helpful. So new customer average order value. So what does it look like for a new customer to come into your system? And then your returning customer average order value. How do those factor into each other? Is your existing customer revenue lower or higher based off of your AOV? Lastly, we're going to hop into the acronym scape here of these little pesky A's, right? So what you'll see oftentimes is something like MER. MER is a marketing efficiency ratio. This is the ratio of total spend versus new customer revenue. So this right here is the A stands for acquisition. So we spent $540,000 and acquired 70% of that back in new customer revenue. A lot of brands, both e-commerce, info, everything else, shoot for the holy grail of one, break even on aMER. So you spend $1 and you make $1 back, and then you have to factor into that cost of goods sold. So that you try to shoot for that on being first order break even with ads. The next holy grail, number 2, is you break even with cost of delivery, but more on that later. Then we have the idea of MER. So if we spent this much, we made as a company, as an entire whole, you made twice that amount. So if you spent $500,000 today, you then made $1 million in revenue, a total MER of 2. We then have the NCAC and customer retention costs. So NCAC is new customer acquisition cost. So how much did you spend to acquire a new customer, right? And lastly, we have customer retention costs. How much did it cost to get you to re-engage a customer, right? And then overall, you have this CAC, which is totally how do you acquire a customer, total spend divided by customers. Okay, hopefully this made sense. I'm going to focus right now on this MER and aMER because those are where things really start to get dialed in once you understand how it works. So we have this idea of a new customer metrics and total customer metrics. So on your new customer, you can then break that down and say, hey, total spend, and then we can say new customer revenue. So in the middle of that, you then have aMER. So let me just put some metrics here. So if we spent $1 million, let's just put this as abbreviated as times 1,000. So that's $1 million. I'll just do 1M. Then new customer revenue, let's just say that that is $500K. Hey, quick interruption. Have you heard about the data order of operations? The marketing data order of operations. Go to visionlabs.com/DOO. Download yourself a copy. If you have any questions at all, hit reply. Our team will help you out and we can build and architect a system to make your data profitable so you can take decisions, you know what you're doing, and you know exactly where you're trying to be. What we're going to do here is then say, hey, our aMER, our acquisition marketing efficiency ratio is 0.5, meaning we spent $1 million and we acquired $500,000 of new customer revenue. That's the A, right? So for new. We then have this MER right here. So MER is your total company. How is the entire company doing as a whole? This can be very different depending on how the makeup is of your brand. Let's just say it's just 3 million. All right. So MER is you're going to take your total spend. We still spent $1 million, right, overall. And then we took that and we are going to take this and put MER down here, and we will have total revenue. And this is 3 million. So what we'll have is an MER here of 3. Are you with me so far? So your goal of MER and aMER is that you're looking at the relationship between acquiring a new dollar, how much does it cost you to get a new dollar, and how much does it cost you to get an existing dollar. And we're just bucketing all ad spend across all platforms here as a whole. We are looking at marketing as a function, not a platform as a tactic, okay? So does that make sense? Total spend, total revenue, MER, total spend, new customer revenue, aMER, A. And that's the same thing people love to do for these little letters at the front. So you'll see more and more as it's happening. Again, 2025 is the year of the small letter, I'm calling it. So NCAC is new customer acquisition cost. So how much does it cost you to acquire a new customer? Now let's just break this out and say our new customer total. Let's just say on average, the average customer is worth $100. So that would be 50,000 customers. 5,000 customers. Here. So 5,000, right, divided by 500,000. So 500,000 divided by 5,000 will put you at $100, right? So $100 AOV. So here again, we're going to build this out. All right, is going to be $100. And then our NCAC, so what are our costs to acquire a new customer? We spent $1 million to acquire 5,000 customers, right? So we can take that 1 million and divide it by 5,000. So you have an NCAC, a new customer acquisition cost of, wait for it, $500. So our new customer acquisition cost is costing us $200 to acquire these $100 AOV customers. So we better hope that our lifetime value of these people are doing quite well. That is what you oftentimes will see, NCAC or A, acquisition or new. Those two little numbers are going to be the focal point, I think, of 2025 and 2026 as brands, whether you're info or e-commerce or software, start to try to acquire new customers. So what is a new customer acquisition cost? A new customer average order value. So those are the two metrics that I really wanted to dive into. Now, what we can do is we can start playing with this and asking our buy questions. So let me just reorder this really quickly, and you're going to start seeing a spreadsheet form with a bunch of blocks. Okay, and so now what we can do is we can start asking our buy questions. We have all these metrics, right? We've got our total spend, our aMER, new customer revenue, NCAC, new customers, new customer AOV. We're then moving into existing customers where we have MER and total revenue. Maybe we have total customer AOV, where all of these metrics can become broken down into these different types. And maybe our average order value is 120. You get the idea, and there we go. Now we get to ask our buy questions. This is where we can specify and we can start breaking this down and buy each of these metrics, and we now take it and break it down by our unique breakdowns that we find the most useful. I'd say in general, the first thing you want to do is break this down by the life cycle of payback. So how fast are you expecting the dollar to come back? In e-commerce, oftentimes it's day, very direct response saying, hey, every day this dollar needs to achieve this outcome. If you are a software, you have a sales cycle, the average sales cycle. You might have leads being generated today. You might have something else you need to factor into things. That average cycle you should look at. So maybe you want to break this down by 7 days or 30 days or 90 days based off of what your normal cycle is to receive that cash. You can also break this down by channel as long as you can allocate your spend and the attribution works correctly, which you can do. Again, totally possible. And you can say, how is all of these metrics working per channel, right? And then we can also say by day, very useful, by quarter, right? So by time. The really exciting part is when you start looking at SKU or product, depending on what your SKU and product is how efficiently is each one of your SKUs or products bringing in new customers? This is where you start to see of, hey, how efficient are we on our different offers? Maybe you have a subscription or a software or a product, and that SKU or product is very good at bringing in new customers, very bad at getting existing customers. A great example of this is a coffee company where you might sell a coffee container, right? That container might be very good at getting new customers. You do an awesome bundle where you get a container and a month's supply of coffee. But it's not going to be very good at getting recurring customers because they already have the hard good, the container. So you want to just sell coffee to existing customers and use your hard good for the actual acquisition side of things. That is where you can start to really start getting a handle on your data, right? So then the last piece here is when you start blending that in with web analytics. This is where you can look at landing page. So how well are your different landing pages converting customers into new customer revenue and existing customer revenue? Maybe you have a great landing page for new customers and it does not work for existing customers. They already saw that sales message. They already saw what you're trying to do. These questions, layering these buy questions against these aMER, MER, NCAC, new customers, etc., they are all there for you to really start asking the best buy questions you can to get towards the profitability outcome that you're hoping for. Hope this was helpful. I hope you were able to get a glimpse of using these metrics together to build an ecosystem that you have all the numbers you need to make a decision tomorrow.